The APVA award stands for the African Podcast and Voice Awards. It's a yearly event, a huge one for us because this is where we tend to share our glory, literally, with the world. African, especially audio creatives, deserve all the recognition they can get. They deserve to be seen and heard and loved by everyone, not just our own communities because we know these creatives, but also by other countries out there, the global north as well.
Hi, and welcome to the Everything Voiceovers podcast. I'm Tcode, an African voiceover talent from Nigeria, and this is my podcast where I take on voiceover topics from an African perspective. In this episode, I speak with Bidemi Adedire, the founder of APVA, organizers of the African Podcast and Voice Awards, and we discuss nominations for this year's award. Sit back and enjoy this episode. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, The African Perspective. It's Tcode here again. This is my intro, legit my intro. This is how I enter every time, and it doesn't get boring to me. If it's boring to you, I'm sorry, but welcome to my world. Of course, the Everything Voiceovers podcast, for anybody listening for the first time, is where I get to look at voiceover topics in the African space, or how voiceovers affect voiceover artists, the craft, the business, everything around it. So that makes me bring on my podcast voiceover experts or people who are quite not just influential, but actively working in the voiceover space within the continent. And sometimes I also do it alone, and sometimes I bring people on board. Last week was a roller coaster of 6 amazing friends of mine, and we spoke about the just concluded voiceover conference. So if you want to, learn a bit about that, you can check the last episode. But for today, there is another huge event happening in Africa in the voiceover space, one of the biggest voiceover related events, arguably. And this event is worth talking about. It's not happening in the first quarter of the year, neither is it happening in the second quarter of the year. It's actually happening in the third quarter or fourth quarter. I think it is the third. Okay, we're going to find out in just about a minute. But then for this event, which I am hugely a big part of, I am actually a member of the Association of African Podcasters and Voice Actors, that's APVA. And APVA is an association that seeks to, help discover, amplify, and celebrate African art talent, audio creatives in these 3 spaces: podcasters, voice actors, and spoken word artists. And today I have, for the second time on the podcast, the founder of APVA. She's an amazing creative, I'm not using the word amazing. She's a fantastic creative, I'm not using the word huge, a beautiful friend of mine. And she it's nice to have Bidemi Adedire on the podcast again. Hi, Bidemi.
Hi, Tolu. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for the glowing introduction.
It's not hard to know when I have my friends on the podcast. I just kind of switch to this part of me who's very, very excited, that kind of thing. So, of course, you're my dear friend. And this is the second time, right? This is the second time we're having this. The first time was last year in the season 1 of the podcast. And that was when we're preparing for the APVA Awards. And it was such a big deal in 2022. But this is 2023. The APVA Award is happening in some months' time. So people are wondering, why are we talking about the APVA Awards right now? Before we go into the main gist or the main talk for today, let us have our own, is it tete-a-tete they call it, or just our chat?
Okay.
Bidemi, how have you been doing? What's up with you? I didn't do a formal introduction, so you can as well, tell us about yourself.
We don't need formal introduction. My name is Bidemi, and that's all we need to know. So how am I doing? I am tired. That's the
Why?
truth. Right now, I am tired. Okay, so by the time people will be listening to this podcast, we just launched Ochukufu, the
Yeah.
commemoration of Africa Day for audio creatives, and a lot of things were going on at the background to make this thing, what we're trying to do a reality. So yeah, I am pretty tired. I need a good bath. I need to sleep. I need to eat, maybe a massage, and then time out with friends tomorrow.
And oh gosh, I wish I was in your state right now. I want to be a part of the
Yeah.
timeout, but
Hmm.
one of these days I'm gonna
Let's not
travel
go
down.
to that.
But then
Okay.
Utukufu,
Yes.
for the first time, I mean, I don't know of. I know there are a couple of events that spotlight spoken word artists, but this
Right.
is largely continental. This is like the entire Africa, and it's
Right.
an initiative, a brilliant one from APVA. Do you want to let's talk a bit about that? Because
Okay.
from what I can see now, if there are two major events that APVA is running in the year, it's
True.
Utukufu, which is on 25th of May, World, not World, I mean Africa Day, right? And the
Yes.
APVA Awards, they are the two major events. By the way, is this event which happened today, 25th of May, is it going to be
Right.
yearly?
Yes, that's the plan. It's supposed to be yearly, but I mean, we don't know what 2024 holds, and we're just thinking about it right now. So this is just us testing the waters, trying to see how this will be received by our target audience, which are the spoken word creatives.
Uh,
Seeing that we want to prove, not prove per se, we want to show them that APVA is the platform for them. We do not exist if they do not see the need to connect or engage with us. And we are actively looking for ways to amplify what spoken word artists are doing on the continent. I mean, they are the first point of call when it comes to advocacy. And I'm not a spoken word artist because I know the kind of work that goes into these things, right?
yeah. And speaking of the word and the work that goes into spoken words, today I really saw more of that, right? Apart from the
Mm,
fact that I'm a member of APVA, I wasn't entirely into this, not because I'm not into APVA, but it's the spoken words part of APVA. I'm more of on the voiceover, end of it. But
exactly.
I was able to watch from a third person perspective, although my voice is part of
Right.
the entire event. But I saw from a third person's perspective what spoken word artists were able to do. So a bit of context for those who don't understand what we're talking about. Utukufu is an event that ABBA put together where spoken word artists from across Africa submitted their entries to talk about the glory of Africa. And from what I heard, we had over 100 entries across the
Yes, we
continent,
did. Yes.
which is beautiful. And we had exceptional judges, people who are experts in this field across the continent as well. And we're able to select three top winners, right? Um, the second runner up with $500, the first runner up with $1,000, and then the winner went with $2,000. That's quite impressive. And the intentionality in the delivery, the not just how articulate the spoken word artists were, it is how they were able to compose the write-ups or the things that he spoke because it's spoken word, and then the visuals that went along with it. They were so
Right.
intentional in crafting the right images, the costumes, the background, the quality. I was just so impressed. Shout out to ABVA and shout out to every spoken word artist that you know, contributed to making this a success. Good one. Great, great, great.
Thank you so
And
much,
how do you
Tolu.
feel now?
Well, for one, I feel relieved. There were definitely things we could have done better, and I've taken note of them, and we're looking forward to what comes up next.
Okay. So it's like I'm doing most of the talking right now, but let me leave the talking to you. We're here to
Okay.
talk about the forthcoming APVA Awards. And the reason why we're having
Yes.
this conversation precisely is about the nominations for the awards.
Sure.
So tell us the process, or tell us the timeline for the awards. Let's start from there. How did we get to this point for nominations, and what are we expecting, afterwards?
Okay, so as we all know, the APVA award stands for the African Podcast and Voice Awards. It's a yearly event, a huge one for us because this is where we tend to share our glory, literally, with the world. African, especially audio creatives, deserve all the recognition they can get. They deserve to be seen and heard and loved by everyone, not just our own communities, because we know this creatives, but also by other countries out there, the global north as well. The APVA Awards will ensure that we acknowledge and highlight and celebrate the achievements of African voice talent. It would also educate the globe about the fact that there's a whole industry right here in Africa. We also would love to sort of motivate audio creatives. When people see that they are loved for what they do, awards like this sort of motivate them. They develop a sense of pride. They build more confidence through, this rewards for excellence that we're trying to do. And really, it's also to sort of name those creatives as thought leaders on the continent, because we tend to forge a relationship with these creatives. We are looking out for what they are doing. We're here to highlight everything they do, and it helps us also kind of help develop homegrown resources as well. So it's beyond the hashtag awards or International Podcast Day or Podcast Day or APVA. It's beyond that. We are trying to strengthen and institutionalize what we see today as the audio creative industry.
Mm.
Speaking about Right. Speaking about the awards, this year's theme is called Voices of the Future. And if you notice, we have like a website dedicated to the awards now because we want to be intentional with the kind of entries we see this time around. We are looking towards a new era of audio creativity and innovation on the continent. We want to deepen our mission as an organization to amplify voices who are pushing boundaries. I am almost certain that this year we will be seeing some podcasts that we never knew existed. And that is what I'm looking out for. We're looking out for diamonds, and one other huge thing, Tolu, this is awesome because I'm making this announcement. Okay, this is the second place I'm sharing this information. There will be watch parties.
Woo!
I wouldn't say exclusive because this is the second place, Tolu. But
Yeah.
there will be watch parties in 4 countries. 3 countries have confirmed their participation for the watch parties in person, celebration of the awards. I think it would be great if we had, in person engagement and people can sort of enjoy the festivities and celebrate with their creatives as well. And we are looking at Nigeria, Kenya, Zambia, and Ghana. So let's see, depending on, I'm hoping that we announce, before we make any announcement, we also want to be very sure about the commitment of the communities we're working with. We tend to work with communities that are resident in these countries. It makes no sense to just go into a country and say, hey, Zambia, we are coming to do this. We like to, map out and sort of identify communities that are existent and partner with them, and we don't impose our ideas. So these watch parties are completely hosted at the discretion of the host. However they want to host these parties, they should do it. We are open to that. Just like you saw, at the Otokofu, with the submissions and entries we saw creativity on display like never before. I believe we'll be seeing that as well on the watch party.
Mm.
At the watch party rather.
I am super excited to hear this. Last year everyone was excited, but then it was a virtual event. I am guessing this year as well will be a virtual event, except that the watch
Right.
party brings us closer, right? So
Right.
from different countries, and I'm looking forward to a future where we can have more watch parties in more African countries as we grow.
Thank
Shout out
you.
to APVA. I remember last year as well. I think we had the award on the 25th of September. and that
Yes.
was, or that is, World Podcast Day,
No,
right?
no. The 30th of September is the
Oh,
International
yeah.
Podcast Day. We wanted to do it a week before, so we kind of made it like a podcast week thing where we were constantly announcing, winners and having conversations leading to the International Podcast Day.
Mm. And we had interesting categories like the
Yes, we
voiceover
did.
artist of the year, the podcaster of the year, the spoken word artist of
Yay!
the year, and many other categories. So one of the things I'm going to
Right.
do in this episode, for those who are just hearing about the APVA Awards, because I think APVA Award is one of the very few award um, shows or events in Africa that spotlights audio creatives in this light. I mean, voiceover, spoken words, and podcasters. For
Podcasters.
voiceovers, I know obviously everybody. I mean, voice actors should know of the Sovas Award, which is like the grand, phenomenal award. It's been on for 9 years, and this year is going to be the 10th year for the Sovas Award. So it's like the
Amazing.
Oscars of the voiceover world. But here in Africa, we have ours, which is the APVA Awards, the voiceover. We have a couple of categories. So one of the things I've also noticed is that last year we had great categories, but this year we've gotten some extra categories to add to this, right? So would you like to tell us a bit of the few categories that were included this year, and if you have reasons behind the inclusion? I am also going to do a bit of explanation too, because I was in the process. but
Okay.
then from your angle, which categories were newly introduced, and why do you think they're important and interesting for us to look forward to?
All right. So nominations are ongoing at the moment. And here is an exclusive news for you, Tolu. This is exclusive. No one is hearing this. We are moving the nominations by a week or two. Yet we are yet to decide if it's 2 weeks or a week, but we are definitely pushing the nominations because we know that everyone's attention has been on Utukufu, and so we kind of have to circle back to the awards and sort of remind people that, hey, Utukufu has come and gone. It's time to focus on the awards now.
Mm,
So concerning nominations are open. Anyone can nominate. You can nominate someone, you can nominate yourself.
yeah,
Some of the categories, special categories, obviously are repeating themselves. When I mean special categories, I mean the podcast of the year, voice artist of the year, those kind of categories.
yeah,
We also have the diaspora, um, kind of awards as well, because we also want to recognize creatives in the diaspora. But particularly this year, we have a new category for podcasters. It's the children's category.
wow,
So that is one category that we are introducing this year. We realized that there are podcasts that are dedicated to children, actually, and that's interesting. We want to know really what we can find. And honestly, Tolu, the awards is also experimental. These categories exist so that we can discover Africa voices. So if it turns out that we don't get nominations in certain categories, we will have those categories open next year, but we can, say that, okay, for this year, we had no podcast being nominated in this category. And then we can
mm,
try to figure out why. Is it that there is no podcaster? Is it that there's no voiceover artist that can be awarded in this category? Or
mm,
are we not reaching out enough? So either way, the nominations gives us a ton of information that helps us understand the industry. For voiceovers, I wouldn't say there's a new category per se, but there's been like a restructuring of the categories.
yeah,
Last year, we did a lot of learning on the job. And that is why this year the nomination is more intentional. You can tell by the way the websites have been arranged, so that when you submit a nomination, you are in the right category. You are using your own hand to say, this is the category you want to be recognized for, and we are not
yeah,
putting you in that category. So that is also something we want to ensure, that there's no mismatch of skills or talent. So you would notice that the voiceover category sections are more arranged, they are more definite, they are more
Yeah.
intentional. So I would
Right.
encourage voiceover artists that when they're um, submitting their nominations, be sure that this is what you want to be recognized for. And if it
Mm,
turns out that your submission, for example, if you submit Best TV Promo and you submit a radio imagining sample, our
mm,
judges will figure that out, and that might lead you to being disqualified. And you might be wondering, why am I not nominated for the awards? So it's clearly written on our website, the categories there. All you just need to do is click on the cards and fixing the one you want. You can nominate yourself in more than, okay, not more than three, not more
mhm,
than three categories, as long as your samples align with these categories.
mm. So what you're saying in essence is that people should avoid using the wrong um, submissions
Yes.
in the, should I say, in the right category. Yeah.
I
So
mean, yeah, we could put it that way.
yeah, and also you're also saying people cannot nominate more than three times, and
More than
but then
three categories.
yeah, more than three categories. So
Yeah.
also, does it mean that if, for instance, I have a voiceover job that I want to put out, can that work serve in, let's say, best jingle or these categories are quite unique, to be honest. So I really don't think. Oh, okay. Let's say best TV commercial and then best in
Okay.
production, because of
Okay.
course, is it possible to have the same the same submission for those different categories? If you understand, because
Uh,
production
I
and
do.
voiceover are quite different. Yeah.
Right. Um, so it's possible, but it's also at the discretion of the creative. Are you
Yeah.
certain that this thing you are submitting works for these two categories? If you're certain, by all means put it in.
Mm.
It could turn out that you are either selected for one or none or all.
Mm. Okay. So I'm gonna just take my time to read out the categories for voiceover artists that are
Okay.
interested in this and would like to submit their works for nomination. Hopefully you get nominated. I'll be so happy and proud of you. Of course, there are the special categories, and part of the special categories, the one that concerns voiceover, is the voiceover artist of the year. Shout out to Stephanie and Nene, who won the voiceover artist of the year last year, which, okay, you all know her as Voice of Steph. Um, we have other categories like voiceover service provider of the year, and this is to recognize voiceover service providers like companies, institutions, organizations that what they do revolves around voiceovers, or is something to push further the industry. So regardless of the country, if you have a voiceover hub, community, organization, institution that is doing something for the voiceover community, and you think they are worthy of recognition, gladly nominate them, or they can also nominate themselves. Then we also have best commercial performance radio. So if you have a voiceover that you've done in the radio category, like it's for radio, and you believe that is worthy of nomination or acknowledgement, you can submit that. We've got best jingle, right? So voice artists should know this already. Jingle is different from your conventional voiceovers. Jingle is where you come together and you compose a music and something stuff like that. So best jingle category exists. We have best audiobook performance. So a very interesting category. There are some people they're very good at this. If you have a job that you think is worthy of nomination, please enter for the award. We've got best corporate or explainer performance. So corporate videos, explainer videos, voiceovers for those. They will fit in this category. We've got best e-learning performance. So shout out to those who do e-learning voiceovers. This is for you. We've got best documentary performance. So that type of voice that sells for documentary, and if you've done something that is magnificent, you shouldn't be shy to put this for nomination, right? You've got best TV promo. So your TV promos, um, gladly submits them for nominations. You've got best radio imaging. So you listening to blah 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 radio station, this and that. You can submit them as well. You've got best commercial performance television. So if you have a commercial voiceover you've done for TV, outstanding one, you can put it up for nomination. Best in animation, and I think this is a new category. I'm happy about this because obviously the animation industry in Africa is gradually rising. It's gaining feet, and a lot of animation companies are beginning to look into Africa to use African voiceover artists. So there are certain works that have been done. They may not be animation series. They may just be short animation projects here and there. As long as they're in this category, the animation acting voices, as we know them, you can submit your work, and who knows, you could get nominated and win the award. We've got best in production. So apart from the voiceover, producers also do a ton of work to ensure that the voiceovers sound very good. So if you're a producer that you've been producing for voice actors, or if you're a voiceover artist that you have an excellent producer and you've worked together to put out amazing jobs, you can nominate any of your most outstanding, or you can nominate your outstanding works, and one of them maybe, I think, yeah, and you could get nominated. Best in audio drama, another new category, just like the best in production. Audio dramas are becoming a thing. We have audio dramas in form of podcasts as well. So we have them as radio dramas, and some of them are just for social media on Instagram and whatever it is. So if you have a team of people come together, do a voiceover work, or do a project using voiceovers, this is a good way to see that not just one person, but the entire team gets recognized for their incredible work in this audio drama that they put together. So if you have that kind of work, or if you belong to a team of people who have put out a beautiful audio drama, feel free to submit your work for nomination, and you might just get to the main nomination and even win the award. And finally, last but not least, best in narration. So some people are so great at narration. So whatever narration voiceover that you've done and you think it's outstanding and deserves recognition, you can put it out for nomination. And who knows, the judges might be impressed and, make you one of the main nominees. So Bidemi, thank you so much for this platform, or for this opportunity via APVA, giving people the opportunity to have their works nominated. Just before we round off with this episode, tell us about what to expect in the coming months, when the award is going to be happening. And I know you've dropped some exclusives already. Is there any other thing that we should be expecting for this year's APVA Award, which will be the second edition of the APVA Awards?
One huge exclusive is the fact that AfriPods will be headlining the APVA Awards this year.
Whoa! That's a big deal. I love this. African supporting.
I know, because even you did not see that coming.
I didn't see that coming, man. This is lovely. Lovely.
Yes. So we have that for the APVA Awards. The awards will be holding on the 23rd of September this year. And I am really, really looking forward, most especially to the watch parties. It's a new take for us. And you know that, here at APVA, we are always testing our capacity. So we are going all out, trying to see as much as possible how interested our creatives are in terms of in-person meetings. And the watch parties will also be one of a kind, first of its kind as well, if we really look at it, because while it's virtual, we are having simultaneous gatherings, right, across different countries. What better way to express Africa's unity while we are being so diverse, in our cultures and languages and styles. So I'm looking forward to how the watch parties pan out, the look, the feel, the ambience, because each host, they're doing their own thing. We are just here saying watch parties is happening here. Go join people, and I'm really looking forward to it. I would have loved to announce the actual organizations that we are working with for these watch parties, but I think I want to save that for myself. So we announce it ourselves on our platforms.
I mean, you've been gracious enough to give enough exclusives on this
Back to back.
I mean, come on. Well done. Thank you so much, Bidemi. And by the way, I just realized that, of course, I've not mentioned the podcasters, or rather the podcast categories. And because of time, right? And of course, this is a voiceover podcast. So you can check out the website. You'll find and the podcast categories are way more than the voiceover category. So that will take me a longer time to read out and to explain. But like Bidemi has said, you can expect to see the children category. There's the fiction podcast. There's the a lot of them like that. Let's just mention 5 for the sake of people who do this. There's even the cover art category. So you have a very beautiful
I'm interested in that as well. I want to see, because we've been seeing lots of amazing podcasts, really, and their arts are beautiful. So I'm interested in seeing, what we get this year. It is. It's a new one.
We have categories in politics, in crime, in
relationship, yes, beauty.
Beauty.
I'm telling you, tell us.
Yes.
I mean, look, Africa to the world, Africa to the world.
Yeah. Entrepreneurship, entertainment, education. The list goes on and on and on. So, wait, hold on a second. Let's break this table. Let's shatter it once and for all. I'm a member of APVA. I'm a member of APVA. I'm an executive member of APVA. I'm the creative partner at APVA. My voice is. I hosted last year's APVA award, but I'm a voiceover artist. I'm a podcaster. I'm not a spoken word artist. So am I eligible? And I shouldn't be saying this here. But I mean, that's for the fun of it. Is it going to be like, if for instance I then put my podcast up for nominations, or maybe in the podcast session, and I also submit my work for voiceover, are people not going to say, come on, Tcode, why will Tcode be nominated? Is it not, I mean,
I think you know the answer to that. I mean, you are the creative director of APVA. Coded Voiceovers is a strategic sponsor of the awards. Your podcast is already helping us out with awareness, amplification of what we do. You are probably going to voice this year's awards as well. I mean, should I keep listing it? What will people say, that we are creating awards and awarding ourselves? Alpha, do you think I don't want to be awarded?
No, we're going to create a special category for ourselves.
Oh, yes. Let's create.
And for those who don't know, Bidemi herself is a podcaster. So all of us, we're not just doing this because no, we're actually doing this because we care about the community, right? It's not about us, right? We just want to see people celebrated, discovered. We want to help the community, and that's why I am committed to APVA. And guys, go and nominate yourselves.
I don't even know if it is the word help, to be honest, Tolu. I think for me, it's more of the audacity for you people not to know that we exist. We exist. We see, if you will not clap for us, we will clap for ourselves. If you will not tell us your international platform is not loving us, we will create our own international platform and love it. Just that energy. That's just what we're doing. It's not, creatives are doing amazing, Tolu. They're doing, without APVA, they're already doing amazing. APVA is just curating and, compiling, aggregating, accumulating. You get the picture. So people really see this is what is happening. So it's more like us giving there is power in partnership. There is power when we come together. There is no way you will not hear our voice,
Yeah.
in programs such as Otukofu or the APV Awards, because we're going to be online talking about the conversations, and it's going to catch your attention and you're going to wonder what's happening. And then if you
Mm,
click on some of these people that are being awarded, for example, you'll be blown away by the
yeah.
creativity, that the voices of some of our creators alone. Oh my God. Ah.
Amazing voices, really. Very enviable.
Mhm.
So shout out to everybody. I look forward to this year's award. I look forward to the amazing talents that will be spotlighting. And speaking of partnership platforms and all of that, I know there are many things on ground that APVA is working on. Some of them we cannot announce them right now, but trust me, we've got great package for or packages for audio creatives in the continent. And with time, right, Bidemi, we're going to be unveiling these things.
Amen. No, with time and God helping us and
Yeah,
resources and
yeah.
facilitation. The
And
list is
facilitate.
long.
Yeah. I think before I go, right, I think it's safe to say that we're open to more collaborations, sponsorship, partnership, strategic partnership, media partnerships, and stuff like that. Uh, am I right?
Absolutely, Tolu.
Mm,
Yes, we are open to. I never say no to partnerships, any form of partnership at all. We don't say no to it. We need all the help that we can get. There is a lot going on. There's so much work to be done. We we have had to prioritize some of the things that we want to do in terms of some of the programs that we have in mind. And the more help we get, the higher our chances of seeing our dream come true. I mean, APVA is like a 20-year, 50-year plan for me. So I'm going nowhere. And I would love people to sort of join, what we are trying to do. Yeah. So we are open to partnerships.
in our 70s, we'll still be rocking APVA.
Oh yes, oh yes. But hopefully at that point, we will not be in APVA. We'll be like, we'll have retired. In
We'll
fact,
be
we'll not
retired
even
in
be on the
APVA.
board.
You get it, you get it, you get
We'll
it.
hand over to a new president. I can't wait to do that. Somebody should take this.
Well done, Bidemi. You've been so hardworking. One of the most hardworking females I know, to be honest. Yeah, no flatters. So you mentioned the other
Oh,
time.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You mentioned the other time that we have a new website for the
Yes,
awards. So
right.
just a question. So people are wondering where they can nominate and all of that.
Oh, yes. It's simple actually. APVA is apva.africa. Very simple. I love simple things. You can easily find us. So the awards is also awards.apva.africa. That's it.
Awards.apva.africa. So guys, go
Yes.
to the website right now. If you have a work worthy of nomination, or you know someone who does absolutely phenomenal work in voiceovers, or even in podcast, or in what's it called now? Spoken words. Nominate them. I know somebody will go and nominate me, will go and nominate my podcast. You heard it already. We're the guys behind the scene. So yeah, you can nominate other people, everything Voiceovers podcast and myself and all of that. We're part of the team. So yeah, thank you so much. I know fans that support us, what we do in this voiceover, everything Voiceovers podcast. We love you, you love us, but let's do this for the industry, for the community. So guys, that's it for today on the podcast. It's been a pleasure speaking with Bidemi again in this podcast, or my podcast. And Bidemi, I want to say a very big thank you. I know today has been absolutely busy for you because today is the 25th of May, where we celebrated Utukufu, and that's the Glory of Africa, Africa Day by APVA. So thank you so much, Bidemi. Anything you want to say before you go?
Thank you so much, Tolu, for this opportunity to talk about APVA. You know how much I love what I do, and I consider this a very big honor. So thank you. I
Mm.
appreciate you. I might not have told you this, so I'm not saying it enough. We at APV appreciate your contributions to APV. I mean, without you, where we for day. Thank
Ah,
you.
oh, now I'm feeling, now I'm shy, guys. I'm so shy. All right, guys, that's it for this week's episode of the Everything Voiceovers podcast, African Perspective. If you enjoyed the episode, comment, like, subscribe, share, tell somebody about it. You're gonna hear this at the end of the podcast anyway. But we have a community that we're gradually building for the podcast. So, but if you check the show notes, you can find our Telegram platform where we are, coming together and we can share deeper stuff beyond just on the podcast. We can have maybe a forum to discuss different things, ask questions. And if you have burning questions that you like to get answers to, write to us at everythingvoiceoverspodcast@gmail.com, and we can even share those questions here on the podcast live and take answers to them, or give answers to them rather. So thank you guys for being a part of this today, and we'll see you in the next episode. I remain Tcode, your favorite voiceover artist, and I say keep voicing and keep doing something to get better every day. Consistency is key. Guys, see you next week. Bye.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a comment, and tell someone about it. Follow the podcast on Everything VOs on all social media platforms. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode. This podcast is a Coded Voiceovers production.